Hey teachers, it's Haley at Teacher's Pet, and it's time for me to set up not only a new weekly spread, but actually my first ever real bullet journal weekly spread. In the past, I have always used, dated planners and pre-designed planners all the way from the time I was in college. So I've always been a real planner person, but finally decided that it was time to start building my own. Now, if you don't want to listen to me kind of talk through my journal setup, you can actually jump over to the just BuJo and chill version that, is kind of a ASMR-ish vibe. Where you can just, decorate your planner along with me kind of in the background. See so much value, especially, right, working in education, being a teacher. There's just, so many different projects that have a lot of different tasks and steps to them and things that I need to keep track of, important deadlines as our semesters move so quickly. I've always found planners extremely helpful and really always enjoyed making my lists and kind of coming up with what it is I need to work on that week. But I have definitely found that the just predated planners, they weren't fitting my needs. They weren't set up quite the way I wanted. I was getting close with a few different brands, but finally have decided to, make the jump to designing kind of my own. And if I'm going to be designing, maybe I will, record these and share them to see if any of you teachers out there, have great tips, ideas, or, might just find some ways that you want to set up your own based on what I'm doing. So definitely, comment tips, ideas. I am a noob, a real newbie at this. And so any help that you can also provide, I'd be super interested to hear as I kind of improve and get better week over week. But with that, I wanted to also take this first video and first spread to introduce a little bit more about myself while I'm, creating kind of what the setup's gonna be, and yeah, go through that. So yeah, my name is Haley Blackburn, she, her, and I am an assistant teaching professor with a 4-4 load at an R2 university. Which, all that's just to say, my contract is primarily teaching, though I am also working on and balancing research, so that way I can stay like tenure eligible, just have that option open to me if a position ever opens at my university, though, I like to keep my options open. Chances are a little bit slim. But with that teaching focus at my R2, so already a very like teaching centered institution, I do have typically 4 classes each semester. And those classes, I'm in a technical writing, technical communication, information design department. So I'm mostly, teaching classes um, related to STEM fields and the type of writing, reporting, documentation, protocols, illustrations, that kind of stuff that a lot of the engineering and computer science fields specifically use. Um, and this semester, I actually only have 3 classes, or 3 sections of all the same exact class, which is an intro level. So I am teaching Gen Ed classes this semester, and then in the fall, I'll have Gen Ed and one of our upper division major classes kind of going. And so as I'm thinking about my planner layout, I'm also thinking about, how do I want to segment my day and really keep track of what it is I need to do, because being a teacher, being a professor specifically, every single day is actually a little bit different that I am working on and working towards. And so in kind of those different days, Monday and Wednesdays when I have my lectures, my classes are hybrid, which means that I only meet with each section of my class once a week and everything else happens online. So I have a lot of video production and just like media stuff and online content that I want to stay up on, stay ahead. So Monday and Wednesday is really busy because that's when I am on campus actually hosting my lab sessions for 75-minute periods each. And then, Tuesday and Thursday, I try to focus more on like writing or research or like grading, especially kind of happen on those days. And then Fridays is usually when I have things like department meetings or, kind of big, like special kind of stuff going on. And so with all of the days of my week being a little bit different, I also wanted to have a weekly layout and a planner layout that would allow me that kind of flexibility and to adapt. And so, what I came up with to kind of fit into my schedule, my life, is one spread. And I have the square journal from Archer and Olive. I don't know if I love the square shape, but for now, we'll see. I do like how wide it is. But I actually wanted my entire week to be visible in that spread. So, because each of my days, I'm not going to have to document that much stuff. I just wanted to really make sure I could see every day of the week. And I actually had forgotten and did not draw quite enough lines to get that set up. And so I had to kind of go back and fix that just now. Um, but yeah, so I wanted every day of the week to be visible so I could truly have that kind of at a glance view. So I did go with, it was actually only 6 boxes, 6 days of the week, because Sundays I just have found like I wasn't really tracking or planning or doing that much with my planner on Sundays. Sunday for me is when I do my weekly resets, and it's when I set up the next week of planning. Even when I used a dated planner, I'd still go through and figure out and look ahead to, what I needed or wanted to accomplish that next week. And so Sundays, I just didn't have a super strong need for a full kind of day. But Saturdays, I do get a lot of stuff done and I do like to focus on various projects. So that's why I went with the sort of 3 by 2 kind of columns for my days of the week, and then Sundays just kind of hanging out in the corner there. Which I actually ended up doing something a little bit different with Sunday when I actually sat down to fill out my week. So the other thing, or the next thing that I really thought was going to be helpful and important for me in my journal spreads and layout was breaking my days into time blocks. So most of the planners I was using, right, is just kind of a list, or they would break it down hour by hour. Neither of those were really working for me. The hour by hour was a little bit too granular, and then I would end up feeling weird or guilty or bad if I didn't stick to the exact hour block that I had planned something. And then just having just a bullet list as a task list also wasn't necessarily allowing me to spread out my work and plan my day as much as I wanted. So I came up with this idea that I thought would work well for me. We'll see how it goes. Where I am breaking my day, and I actually make a mistake, so we'll see how I fix that later. But where I actually break my day into AM, PM, and then sort of the evening after work block. So I'm definitely excited to see how this layout works for me this week, or over the next couple weeks. I'll keep testing it to, yeah, break it into how do I want to get up? What do I want to work on first? What do I want to work on second? And so on. Now, the piece that I had messed up and drawn that extra little line, it's like, okay, well, I will just make, a segment where I am going to track 3 things. So I have also tried lots of, trackers, and I just never really got super into it. Like I, would track the things, but I didn't feel like I was personally getting that much in or out of filling out the trackers. But there are 3 kind of key stats that are important to me. So I went ahead and made just little boxes for that, which is basically steps and water, and then kind of my nutrition and calorie tracking, kind of a micro macronutrient kind of stuff. So those are really the only 3 things, at least this week, that I plan on tracking. In the future, I might, update that to, 3 real habits that I really actually want to commit to. Yeah, all the dated pre-printed planners I was using, it had like 5 or 6 habits and all these things and moods and just stuff that for me, I just wasn't getting that much use out of. So I really want to focus in on, okay, actually, if I'm going to put in my planner, it's because I really want to commit to paying attention and building a new habit with that. So this is really what the basic layout ends up being for me. A few other things that I am gonna do, just adding the little stickers there. I do really like decorating my planner as I go. So I will hop into some decorations before, the video ends. But those bigger boxes underneath the days of the week, I found I personally like to start my day with just a little bit of kind of filling in those boxes with all my stickers and washies and whatnot. And it kind of helps me get the day started in kind of a fun way. So I am going to be leaving those boxes blank without any decor on them, because I'll fill them out during the week. But I also like the idea of bullet journaling because I like having pretty interesting journals and pages that also are going to change. The other issue that I found with all the printed planners I was using was, they just don't have variety. Naturally, of course, and I get bored very easily and quickly. I really like to have things be different and to change often. So those very static kind of planners are not working for me. So I'm really excited to get into bullet journaling because, I'll have that control to change my week exactly how I want it and have it be different if I want it to be different, carry over the same theme if I feel like I really loved that theme. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what I guess end up doing. Stay tuned on that. I also really have enjoyed the idea of layering all the different kind of pieces of paper and stickers and tape together. I've been experimenting, especially over the past year with the dated planner that I was using, with what type of aesthetics I enjoy in a planner. And I definitely found that I really do love that layering and kind of ripped effect is just one of my favorite things. In kind of like my test cases and journals. So just doing a little bit of decor there at the top. Now, other things that I wanted to make sure to note and have in my weekly layout as relates to my class and lesson planning, I wanted and made sure in that corner it's going to be a space where I will be able to fill out. It ends up being a playlist of the week because in my lab sections, so I do teach college, so I have freedom to play kind of whatever music I want. Though of course I always try to make sure it's, pretty general, and good to work to. But I wanted to have a space where I could like write down things like my playlist of the week and also have things like the weekly overview and that kind of information along the top, just so it would help me with kind of, my planning. And again, at a glance, what am I doing? Uh, Now I actually got the idea from Joshi Corin's bullet journal channel, linked in the bio. Great inspo over there. And one of the things that she was doing was, using a printer to print stuff on sticker paper. And kind of her advice was like, yeah, if it's something that you're gonna write in the exact same thing a lot, then having these stickers are really helpful. And so I did like actually order some sticker paper and started printing some stuff out. And so one of those things is this weekly reset checklist. Like you mentioned, I don't really have super unique things that I like to do on Sunday, but there are some key things I want to do every Sunday just to set me up for the week. And so this little box with my sticker of the weekly reset, just kind of is something I know I'm gonna always want to put in my weekly spreads, and it just has things like, set up the journal and clean up, clutter, just, really reset the house, do some, those quick cleanings, wiping down things like the bathroom, vacuuming, just to really stay on top of my space in a really fast kind of way. So I really like how that little weekly reset section turned out, and I do think it's going to be, a nice, just helpful way for me to also reduce kind of my cognitive load every week with, okay, here's, the key things that I know help me set up and just feel really good and positive and have a clear head going into the next week, as I go. So then I just wanted to, kind of keep getting some little pieces of decor. I am using just like a plant themed sticker set from basically everything that I'm using is from Archer and Olive. I do have like their subscription box. And one thing that I also, or another thing I like about bullet journaling, and as I've been trying to experiment this year, is being less precious. I definitely was collecting all these stickers more because and then not wanting to use them because I was like, I love them. They're so cute and pretty, and I'm afraid to use them or what if I mess it up? And I appreciate through the process of filling out my planners, my dated planners with bullet journaling decor and stickers and tape and stuff. It's definitely helped me kind of let go of that and enjoy more of the moment and use the things that I have, instead of kind of always holding on to them for a rainy day. And yeah, and so that's kind of the end of my journal. So, yeah, that is the layout and the end of my journal. You can check out you can catch the weekly reflect and reset video where I actually fill in this journal for my week and do a few extra things to the layout. But that is kind of going to be the vibe that I'll test out and try for April. All right, happy planning. I hope that you have a great class. Thanks, teacher.